What's up, LEGO builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for another week of building Coruscant in LEGO. Last week's setback acted like a slingshot of motivation, launching me into this week ready to get some serious work done. I got all kinds of stuff lined up for this week. I'm going to be building AATs, assembling decaled figs, starting the Easter egg with Captain Fordo, and building these hyped up brick-built statues I keep talking about. And as an added bonus, you don't have to watch me build any stairs. If you're ready to see some good stuff come together, don't forget to execute Order 66 on that like button, and let's get started. In the last Coruscant stream, I started another one of Mr. Idler's AATs. I surprised myself and got most of it done, so today all I need to do is build the turret, a couple of other sections, and the tank will be ready for action. I can't get over how well this tank was designed. It's such an efficient build with no open or wasted space, so everything fits together seamlessly, and Mr. Idler went all out, capturing even the smallest details and using some clever techniques, making this one of the most accurate AAT builds out there in my opinion. I'll be glad to have a second one done because I can start to map out where they will be on the mock and see if I'll have enough room for a third AAT. I also have a small batch of decaled clones to assemble. I got a little impatient when sanding some of the joint holes, so I have some loose limbs unfortunately, but I'm experimenting with clay in the joints to see if that'll help stiffen them up. The most exciting thing though is I finally got Captain Fordo decaled and ready for the mock. Alright, things are popping this week. I'm loving it. Let's take a look at that AAT. I got it mostly finished. You can see this part right here needs to be replaced with the proper color. I need to take that sticker off and then maybe recolor some pieces up here. I made this one light bluish gray on the top, and then I didn't realize this one's dark blue. So I don't know, I might switch it, I might just leave it as is, we'll see. But what I want to figure out now is how many of these can I fit in the mock, because I was originally planning on having 3. I'm going to have one right here that's been destroyed, as the droid forces slowly pushed up this way, they had to first come in contact with the clone base, so I'm going to have one blown up in that skirmish, and then I was going to have 2 more up here kind of engaging with the ATTE, but you can see there isn't a whole lot of space up here. We got a crashed gunship, ATTE walker, and just with one AAT that pretty much covers everything, and I don't want to have one right here and one right here. I just don't really think this would actually happen in battle to have them mere inches from each other. So I don't really know where I'd put a third one, because I'm thinking I want to scoot this one back here. And I know it looks like there's a lot of space, but you also have to remember there's going to be debris, sky taxis, vulture droids, and just hordes of battle droids filling all this up, and then clone troopers over here. So I'm thinking right now probably 2 will be as much as the mock can hold, because I don't want to overcrowd this thing. In the excitement to build an epic mock, that can often happen where too many vehicles and minifigs go in and end up convoluting everything. I've finally got the pieces and the specific minifigure needed to start on this section over here. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with this little road for a while, because I had the whole sky bridge and vulture droid plan for a while, and the battle's going to be over here, but this was kind of tucked off in the corner out of the way. And then I had the idea to include this bad boy, Captain Fordo, and his famous stand over here. For anyone unfamiliar with Fordo, he is a legendary clone trooper mostly seen in the 2003 animated Clone Wars TV show, and one of his most famous moments takes place during the Battle of Coruscant, where he single-handedly holds off hordes of super battle droids with nothing but a couple of weapons until help arrives. And so at the request of the viewers, I decided to include that scene in this mock as an Easter egg. And I felt like that would work perfectly right here, because I could have his little last stand right here, just, kind of away separate from the battlefield to represent this was more of an Easter egg and not part of the actual battle, if that makes sense. I'm really pleased with how the Fordo minifig turned out. This is, of course, a thick brick decal. Unfortunately, I did mess up a little bit on the fin here, and I got a little too aggressive while I was sanding out his right armhole, so it's a little loose, unfortunately, but like I said, I've been playing with clay to see if I can help stiffen up some loose joints like that. As for what the last stand itself is going to look like, I'm basically going to build like a big hole, kind of like this, an oval almost, and then it looked like there are a bunch of barricades or debris in front of the hole, and he was standing down inside of it, and then the battle droids would come up over the top and he'd basically just mow them down. Obviously, I need a road in here before I can build this, and luckily, I just got in a big haul. As you can imagine, I'm going to need a lot of dark bluish gray brick to build that road and Easter egg scene, so I bought 560 dark bluish gray bricks. I'm supposed to have 2 full bags. I had to use this for a building challenge, so I'm gonna have to take apart those mocks. So pretend there's 2 full bags here, and that should be plenty to do what I want to do, plus, you know, some smaller ones over here. That store also had this awesome realistic phase 1 pilot with the leg printing. These are pretty rare these days and pretty expensive, and he was pretty decently priced, so I decided to snag him. And then something I forgot to show you guys last week, this was the haul I was talking about that had the stuff for the other shops. So we got some meat, some breads, and these weird things which I thought would make for some great alien foods. So I'm going to be finishing up those shops later with these. But that's everything. It's time to get back to the grind. Starting with the road, I'm going to build until I'm at a length that looks good, and then I'm going to start the crater and damaged section. I'm going to have Fordo in it facing the middle of the mock. That way when I place the droids in it, it'll look like he's keeping them from breaking off of the main roadway and moving out into side roads. I'm going to start the crater at about the halfway point in the road and begin making the rough outline of it with brick. I don't know what damaged the road. Maybe pipes underneath it collapsed or something detonated here. Since I don't know, it doesn't need to be a certain shape, so I'm going to go with oval because that's the easiest to build. Once the opening is built, I'll go back through and add various slopes to the crater's edge to smooth out the blocky steps and create a somewhat round shape. This is all trial and error, and you'll see me pulling up spots and redoing them, but it's pretty smooth, in part because I've already had practice with this as I did something similar on the other side of the road where the vulture droid crashed. Now I'm setting my sights on the entertainment complex to get the rest of the bottom floor of shops laid out, as well as the stairway. I want to get the floor underneath where the stairs will go tiled now, because once I get them started, it will be impossible to get under there and do any work. This is a long process, and I have a hard time getting the support poles to the same height as the stair landings because they jut out over open space, so a pole of the wrong height can support them, but the whole thing will be slightly crooked, so I need to watch out for that. I'm stoked to be adding the final shop in as well. It's going to be a meat stand, so after a long day of shopping and walking around, you can dig into a chunk of mystery meat. That's definitely not pork, but might be. All right, let's take a look at these shops. So I got this one in, like I said, meat stand. You guys are familiar with this little meat piece. Nothing really crazy to report with the stairs. You know, progress is slow, but it's pretty steady. It's so nice to have something to reference, so I think, you know, it's going to come in a lot quicker than this staircase did. Up here we've got a bread stand because, you know, got to get that bread. And then over here, this was the shop I was the most excited about because I made these little alien fruits or foods to go in it because, you know, this was so recognizable in that, and really a lot of these were, you know, you got pizza, blue milk over here. I wanted something very alien and foreign, and so I used these little snail eyes and a black round stud to create those. I don't really know what they are. If you got a fun little name for those, drop them in the comments. Really the main thing of interest I wanted to show you guys is actually how I got this bread sign to connect to the wall, because, you know, there's no stud holes on the bottom of the bread. The only thing it clips onto that I know of is a Lego hand. So I've got a little hole right there in the wall, and this Lego hand just slides in right there, and probably isn't going to stay because, you know, it's on camera, and of course, oh, there we go. Now there's just this hand sticking out of the wall holding a loaf of bread. All right, let's take a look at Fordo's crater, as I'm calling it. It's going pretty well. I'm very pleased with the progress. The opening was pretty easy to build. Once again, going off of something I've already done makes things a lot easier. I'm going to have a ring of these slope builds that kind of match the angles of the crater edge, and they're going to kind of angle inwards. And then here in the middle, I'm just going to have a bunch of plate and tile. It'll be flat. So it'll basically be kind of like, you know, a giant hole or crater, as I've said. And then running along the outside here, I'm just going to have a ring of wedge plates and slopes, creating whatever it was that Captain Fordo was standing behind. I think in that actual scene, it was chunks of the road that had been broken up, but I don't know that that's going to make sense in this context, so I might have to try and figure something else out, but there will be some kind of small wall around here. And that's pretty much everything I have to update you guys on, but like I promised last week, there is still one more thing to see. I promised brick-built statues this week, so here I have a very special and rare haul. It's rare because I never make orders of this size. It contains 2 very hard to find parts needed for the statues. The reason the order is so small is because not many stores had these parts, and the one that didn't have much else I could buy. I went to all this trouble for these 2x4 pointed light bluish gray slopes. They go on the front and make up most of the body of the statues, and with this order I now have everything I need to start building them. This statue design comes to us courtesy of the Brick Wiz. He and some friends designed a beautiful brick-built alien statue for his Anaxis mock, and I've been wanting to use that design in a mock for a while. Then the other day it hit me, they would be perfect for Coruscant. A little bigger than a minifig and clearly not a human build, I felt like these would better represent the statue seen in front of the Senate building, and I wouldn't get Jedi Temple vibes from them. I'm not going to showcase them in the mock until next week, but rest assured, these are a serious upgrade from the minifig statues. Speaking of next week, let's talk about what I've got planned. In comparison to last week, this update felt like a absolute cakewalk. I got some good things figured out in this update. As far as next week goes, this month, February, I was planning on being the month where I started the Senate building. Obviously that hasn't happened yet. So I really want to buckle down over these next 2 weeks and get that section all finished and ready to put the building in. That way March, I can just focus in and get that hammered out. I also want to get some more work done on that Fordo Easter egg and see if I can get those walls or broken pieces of road in the front. But another great update in the books. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about all this down below in the comments, and I will catch you next time. But until then, happy building.